and welcome back to the Best on Wellbeing podcast. Today, we're going to look at the idea of loving kindness energy. This can be a very transformative practice in terms of truly cultivating a sense of loving kindness within ourselves. Sometimes we can have some resistance to this idea because we might have the idea, or we might tell ourselves that people in our lives, people that frustrate us, governments, politicians, just anybody really that we find extremely frustrating, that angers us, that creates a sense of resentment, doesn't deserve loving kindness energy, and therefore let's not sort of send them loving kindness energy. And the difficulty with this is that ultimately that will diminish our own well-being. At the end of the day, fundamentally, our ability to send loving kindness energy to other people is will help us to love ourselves, will support our own well-being. And kind of vice versa, when the more we're able to love ourselves, the more we're able to love others. But it does go the other way too. The more we can when I talk about love, that word can be a funny thing. So, let's for now say the ability to send loving kindness energy to others ultimately benefits ourselves. We deserve to send loving kindness energy to the folks that challenge us. And so cultivating that sort of ability within us can be very transformative. And to begin the process of burning up some of the resentment and anger and frustration that we hold within ourselves. Now, again, it's not about this one swift movement and like, aha, I've let go of all my anger and I feel fantastic. It doesn't usually work that way, but it can, begin the process of starting to burn it up, because I think it's Marcus Aurelius, or the great philosopher king in ancient Rome, that said, you know holding on to anger, I'm paraphrasing, but holding on to anger and resentment really poisons the person holding on to it. So it's not like, even if somebody deserves it, it's still hurting you to hold it. So, in terms of fundamentally increasing well-being and fundamentally decreasing suffering, to truly apply ourselves to loving kindness energy, uh, and to cultivate that feeling and sending it out to we can start with the people we love, and the people that we care about, and our colleagues that are good, and then move on to practicing sending that to people that frustrate us, people that annoy us, people that we have maybe held on to resentments for many years, people we're deeply frustrated with at this moment, even world politicians that make us very frustrated. All those things, it's like to learn to sincerely send an energy of loving kindness, ultimately is a wonderful gift to ourselves. It creates a much more sense of lightness. So the approach is very simple. Uh, it starts off by, for example, to just hold a warm thought that kind of, it's about creating that bit of a little bit. It doesn't have to be this intense feeling of love and kindness, but it's about having a little bit of a warmth in the chest, to provoke a little bit of a warmth in the chest. And that can start off, for example, by just holding the thought of like a baby laughing, or little puppies wrestling, or somebody you care about that gave you a big smile once and made you laugh. A warm thought, for example, you just kind of hold that warm thought. I like the baby laughing thing. That's an easy one for me to just provoke a little bit of warmth in the chest. And then once that's there, once you can feel it, then you can kind of hang on to it and visualize it a little bit, as in sort of whatever kind of visual comes to you. It doesn't need to be specific, but a bit of like, I would say like a bit of a golden glow of energy that's in your chest. And then it's about visualizing and sending that feeling, sending that energy to people around you. So again, it can come like, somebody that's going through a hard time that you care about. You can send that energy there. If you visualize yourself sending that, it's emanating from your chest, from your heart space, and then you can almost see that person being bathed in that loving kindness, golden glow energy. Um, and then after that, that's when it comes to sending it more and more to, so practicing with the people you care about is a good way to get started, to kind of feel that sort of flow. And it's very nice. It's a very gentle feeling. And again, it doesn't have to be super intense, just a very subtle, it can be just a tiny little bit of that warmth, and then visualizing and then sending that warmth around you in your mind to the people you care about. But the real work is to send it to the people that are challenging for you in your life, and to try to do it sincerely. It's very, very transformative, you know. Um, like just a couple days ago, you know, my wife and I think pretty sure we got scammed for a couple $100 on this thing we bought for one of the kids. And yeah, like anybody, it's like, oh gosh, it's just so frustrating. Like, why would people do this? Like, um, but at the end of the day, throughout the evening, I don't really want to feel frustrated. Like, I don't want to feel angry. Like, I'm not interested. Um, and so it was just okay. Like, again, warmth feeling that just starts with a baby laughing or whatever for me personally. And then all of a sudden I was sending that loving kindness energy to the scammers, that to wish them well in their journey in terms of figuring out their lives, and perhaps one day waking up and moving away from criminal activity and those kinds of things, and to wish them well in that regard. And the ultimate thing is that I felt better, like whether like, I don't think it necessarily does anything for those people. Maybe in the world of energy, who knows? But for me, I felt better. Okay. And then when it comes to people we directly interact with, this kind of practice does not take away the need sometimes to be assertive, to have proper boundaries, to communicate clearly, to say no. Okay. Loving kindness isn't about becoming a doormat that people's like, you're really tired and somebody's like, hey, I need you to help me on Saturday. And you really can't and don't want to. And you're like, okay, sure, I will. No, that's why I was like, no, sorry, I can't. I'm quite tired and I just need a bit of space and time. And I'll say no this time. So boundaries, assertiveness, clear communication, those are not opposed to this concept, but this is an internal work. This is an internal process of applying ourselves to the best of our ability to send loving kindness energy towards the things we resent, to people we resent, to begin the process of burning it up in order to elevate our own well-being and support our suffering. I'll stop it there for today, folks. Thank you for joining. If people find this useful, I always appreciate a follow, a subscribe, sharing it, reposting it, anything like that. Anything to support in that way is greatly appreciated. Hope you have a good day. We'll see you next time, folks.